Today, I am joined by Mary Nardo Farris. Mary, how are you doing today?
I'm good, thank you.
Yes. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
To start off with, I guess I'm very passionate about Michigan. I was born here and have spent most of my life here. We've spent the last 30 years in Meridian Township. So we had come back. I've been working in Chicago and we came back. So we've been really excited. The kids, as a family, we participated a lot around the township and have really enjoyed all of our time here. When the kids are in school, it's a different situation. When they're in sports, it's a different situation. And then now I recently retired a couple of years ago from the Department of Natural Resources. And so this gives me another opportunity to kind of see the township from a different perspective, not only just COVID. So my background is I'm actually a landscape architect. I have a degree from Michigan State, and then my master's is in urban and environmental planning. And that's both from the University of Cincinnati and Michigan State University. Trying to think. Yeah, I'll leave it at that for now.
Yeah. So what do you enjoy doing in the community when you have free time, whether it be alone or with your family?
But you know what? COVID has actually provided an excellent opportunity for us to take advantage of the parks. We had been involved, the kids are in sports or we've been in the community. We've always visited the parks that were near us, but we never really ventured out that much. I was recently retired from the Department of Natural Resources, Parks and Recreation. So my background is I have private experience and state, federal, and different kinds of experience, but my last job was with Parks and Recreation, so it was a good fit to come back here for the commission. But we have early on, it was just really interesting to realize how many parks we hadn't visited yet. So this gave us an opportunity to do that. And we have really enjoyed that. We've maintained that through the whole past year, kind of picking up a different park in the area and walking that. And it's always amazing to me how beautiful it is. There isn't one of them. They're all very different, and there isn't one of them that we, thought we didn't enjoy.
Yeah, and being in this COVID world, we've now had 4 seasons and they all change with every season, I've noticed when I've walked the path. So how does it feel holding your leadership role in the Parks and Commission within the community and representing Meridian as a woman?
It has been really interesting. It's the transition. I was one thing in all my jobs, I guess I'm at an age now where I've always been the first or only female for the first 30 years of my life in professional work. And so this has been interesting the last 10 years to actually work with more females, but representing on the commission. We have an outstanding commission group. 3 of the 5 commissioners are females. And it's really nice to have that diversity in the discussion, as opposed to being the only female that was in the room. For me, it's been a transition going from being a staff person off into boards and commissions to being a commissioner. And it came kind of by accident in a way. Each one of the commissioners really has an expertise. We have education, we have people involved in grants, marketing, fisheries and wildlife, and health services. And then Luann and her staff is just outstanding to work with. But I was actually working a part-time job at Fabiano's downtown last year just for fun. And one of my former coworkers came in and said, well, we have an opening on the commission. My background's development and construction, so that was most of the work that I did. I managed a statewide program for Parks and Recreation that we actually constructed, sewer systems and restroom, toilet, shower buildings and trails and boat launches and marinas. And that was something that was missing on this commission at that time. I very honestly hadn't looked into it previously. I thought it was a volunteer job, and that it was just would be something fun to participate. I honestly had no idea it was elected position. So that was all new. So it's been really exciting and interesting to have that kind of growth. It's sort of pushed me. You have to push that edge to grow and to keep involved professionally. So I have really, really enjoyed that.
Yes, that's like an interesting path to the commission. The past 4 years, you've served the community in your role as the commissioner. What accomplishments are you most proud of when you reflect on what you've done on your past term?
I was actually appointed at the very beginning of 2020. So
Okay.
I've only been on the commission a year, and it's been a really different year, as everyone has experienced. But what I have been proud of this last year, particularly, is how we as a commission work together. And Luann is just instrumental in her leadership as far as through the COVID challenges. Early on, we worked with our with East Lansing and Michigan State and other communities to make sure that as we were applying the health guidelines and keeping our residents safe, that we were in tune with what the other communities around us were doing. And that was interesting. It changed, month by month, as did COVID requirements and protocol. And the parks really rose to the occasion. We had so many more people that were actually taking advantage of the parks and recreation areas. So that was a challenge for our staff, but I'm really proud of the way our staff has come through that. And the commission worked hand in hand, and that was really interesting to hear the perspectives and the teamwork involved in that.
Yeah. So any time, I guess, before your time on the commission or during the last year and whatnot, what is a big challenge you faced in a position you held, and how did you or are you working to overcome it?
That is an interesting question, and the answer might be a little bit odd, but after spending close to 40 years in this line of work professionally, and now switching over to a commission, for my challenge at this point is still a little bit not being in a staff role and putting on even though I served boards and commissions at both a federal, state, and local level, I had never been a commissioner or been on a board. And part of that would have been a little bit of a conflict of interest at that time. But that has been, I have to catch myself periodically kind of stepping back and realize, oh no, that's not my lane right now. That's not my role, and to adapt. But that has also helped me grow professionally.
Yeah, absolutely. Looking forward to the next 4 years, what do you think the top 3 priorities of the commission should be?
For upcoming, this is really an exciting time to be on the commission. So I'm really pleased to be able to have another 4 years, and that we are entering into our master planning period. So for a 5-year master plan. So we'll actually, whatever venue that takes, will be going out to the community and soliciting input to see where we should be going in the next few years. And I think that's perfect timing. They've done the commission, those on the commission before my time, and the staff has done a great job. And we have a lot of construction projects that are just finishing up right now. And so we're kind of thinking about maybe we should take a step back, because part of that is you have to match funding. And also it's a staff time commitment as far as overseeing and the quality assurance to getting those done. But some of those have been outstanding projects. And it's really, there's so much involved when you're working on a project before people can see it. There's actually years, going for grants and making sure, and that's where the 5-year master plan comes in. We have to have that in place before we can qualify for state and federal grants. So that's part of the foundation and putting that together so that we can match some of our funding. But some of the things that people have, I'm sure have seen, there's the marketplace on the green and the dog park that's across the street, and that's finishing up. And then over at Harris Nature Center, there's a restroom and pavilion. Central Park has the restroom facility there and a footbridge now. And we've since moved the market out of that area. So it's evident to see so much of the work, and that's really fun, I think, for the community. For those that were behind the scenes orchestrating this, they would have envisioned this, for the past 5, 6, 7 years, however many years it's taken. But it's really nice to see that come to fruition right now.
Yeah, so you mentioned a lot of projects. What's one thing that you are most probably excited to accomplish in regards to recreation and land preservation?
From my perspective, what I'm looking forward to is continuing to move in direction of accessibility, working towards universal design. That's entirely different than accessibility, but there's still a great need, not just in this community, but anywhere, because retrofitting projects for accessibility is really can be really tricky. But I'm looking forward to doing that, and the sustainability of projects and how we work to continue how we maintain those and work in the future, that what we're putting in a lot of times there's grants available to do something right off the bat, but that's not, there aren't monies there to maintain things. So even though some boardwalks, you see put in, not so much in this community, but you think, oh, that's great. And then after a few years, you see that deteriorate where there aren't dollars involved to do that. So keeping the sustainability in mind along with the accessibility, I think are probably the two prominent things I'd be looking forward to participating with.
Yeah. So you talked a lot about how your family, like you've been exploring parks through COVID and whatnot. How do you connect with township residents and what changes do you think they would like to see in the next 4 years?
Well, part of that is I think it'll be really interesting as we go through the 5-year master planning to actually hear from people direct. Your contact with residents changes so much, and it has for my time, when the kids were little and they were in school, you have groups, they were in Boy Scouts, they were in sports. So you talk to those people, you talk to your neighbors. My husband was the president of the Oaks Association for a while, so you have a different interaction there. We had been involved in some other groups and through the community and through our church. So you talk to people there. Right now we're in a condo association and those people are very active, but that's where I'm really looking forward to talking to people I wouldn't normally see. So we'll have an opportunity to do that this next year, because you do tend to kind of focus on the people you know and talk to, and that's really not the best way to get that input. But
Yeah, absolutely. So do you believe having a diverse community is important in Meridian? Why or why not?
oh, absolutely, I do. And diversity from a lot of perspectives, I think it's often underappreciated. I grew up in Lansing and came through that school system and was there most of my life until I went to college. And I think the diversity in Okemos is actually underappreciated. There's a lot more there than people anticipate. Um, and I think that's critical in any group. That's more generic as far as, and this would be more of a personal philosophy or belief that to have that any kind of diversity really brings in different ideas, because if you're only talking or working with a select group, then you really don't have the best perspective. You don't have as many good ideas. One thing I think and it's always a stretch, but to reach out and try and provide more input to different types of cultural diversity, because we don't always know, we all know where our own background's from and the things we like to do, but it's a good idea to incorporate other people's perspectives that might not be as familiar with parks and recreation. That's something that everybody grows up with. I think it's much more so in this community, but a lot of times when you're talking about urban populations and there may be people in our community that would be from that background. That's very intimidating. They didn't grow up fishing. They haven't grown up with the things that other people have. And very honestly, if we didn't have the Boy Scout experience, we wouldn't have a lot of the opportunities that we had to share that within the community and outside. So no, I think diversity in general is a really good thing.
Yeah. So with the COVID-19 pandemic still being an issue, what plans does the commission have to help the community stay safe while still engaging with the parks and recreation that Meridian has to offer?
And that's where we really have an advantage, because most activities are outside. Our programs have taken a hit because we weren't able to bring people together. And I know they're all hopeful for any of the age groups, but particularly kids, to get them back involved in active programs. But from our standpoint, we really saw more use of the parks and recreation areas because people could get outside. They can social distance. It's a lot easier, and I would anticipate that continuing through this year. But I think the glimmer to that, or the silver lining to all that, is that actually has pushed not just myself, but a lot of people in the community to get out and explore things here outside in the facilities and in our properties that they wouldn't normally, something else would be too convenient, or they'd be getting together with friends, or so I think that's actually been a really good thing. I do believe that will continue.
Yeah. So why are you passionate about your position and what makes Meridian Township special to you?
Growing up, I have always loved Meridian Township as far as the natural resource aspect and the trees and the river here. And it's just always been a more intimate. I really appreciate it. And when we came back from Chicago, we actively chose to be here because of those resources. The schools were great too, but for me, it was actually the natural resources that brought us here to focus on looking for a home in this area. Um, there's just a lot to be passionate about. You know, I say I'm passionate about Michigan, but this community has done such a great job long term. I think the people my son was going through his Eagle Scout project work and the park commission before at that time was just outstanding. Particularly Terry Banas was on the commission at that point, and just even before I was involved, from this perspective, there've been some very outstanding people that I am following, and Luann has been great. We've been fortunate to have her for a number of years now, and her staff, she's cultured them and they are great at working together, and she's highly respected statewide in the Recreation Association, and we're really blessed. It makes my job really easy. I mean, it's passionate. One thing you don't want to do is follow a really good act, but in this case, I'm fortunate that those that become before me have really set an outstanding foundation, and I'm just really looking forward to contributing whatever I can contribute from my perspective as it continues.
Yes. Is there anything else that you'd like the residents of Meridian Township to know about you or the commission?
Mostly we have a great commission. As I said, and they bring all sorts of varied perspectives. They're all very, very passionate and really listen. And I believe coming up, there's a really exciting opportunity for people to participate. And I'd like them, we don't know what form that will take. We're just formulating how we will reach out, because particularly with COVID, if things are changing still a lot, I don't envision we'll have any big meetings for a while, but there are other ways that we can garner public and community input. They're always welcome. We often have people that reach out to Luann and her staff or individual commissioners with ideas or interests or concern, and we'll respond to that or bring that to the commission group. But this next year with the 5-year master plan will be an excellent opportunity for people, and I'd like them to look for that, look for an opportunity if they like to have some input.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for joining me, Mary. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. It's been a joy. I appreciate it.